Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty fundamental, really. What makes a marriage work? What makes it successful?
Yeah, and for this deep dive, we're focusing on just one source. It's a blog post, actually, that offers this surprisingly simple, almost like a formula, 3 parts.
A formula for marriage success. Okay, so our goal here is to unpack that, pull out the key ideas, right?
Exactly. Get to the practical insights. And, the source kicks off with this really powerful quote. It says, "Success in marriage does not come merely through finding the right mate, but through being the right mate." Bernard R. Brickner.
Oh, wow. Okay, that hits different, doesn't it? It totally shifts the focus. It's not about finding the one.
Right.
It's about what you do, how you show up.
So this deep dive is really exploring what that means, according to this source. How do you be that right mate? What does that actually involve, like day to day?
Okay, let's get into it.
So the source argues you can kind of boil it down to 3 simple F's. Follow these, it says, and your chances of having a happy, healthy partnership go way up.
3 F's. Intriguing. What's the first one?
The first F is fun.
Fun. Okay, that sounds nice. Maybe even a little obvious.
You'd think so, but the source suggests it's often the first thing to go. The core idea is intentional quality time together.
Intentional quality time, not just like sitting on the sofa scrolling on your phones in the same room.
Exactly that. It's about really connecting, sharing enjoyment. The source actually asks, when is the last time you and your partner just enjoyed each other, laughed together, relaxed?
That's a good question. Because life does get in the way, doesn't it? Work, maybe kids, all the daily grind stuff.
It does. But the source really emphasizes you shouldn't stop dating each other.
Okay, dating each other. What does that look like in practice, according to this source?
Well, it means actively paying attention to your partner's inner world, their heart. It means actually planning dates, even simple ones.
Planning things, okay.
And here's the key phrase, I think. Thinking of them as if you don't already have them.
Ooh, as if you don't already have them. Yeah, that changes the perspective.
Right. It moves you from maybe taking them for granted to actively appreciating and pursuing them still.
So it acknowledges life is busy, stressful, all that.
Yeah.
But it says, despite that, making time to just enjoy each other is crucial. It's non-negotiable for a healthy relationship.
It's basically an investment in the positive stuff, the foundation.
Right. More about the message, you're still my priority for fun time than the specific activity even.
Exactly. So that's fun. Keep that courtship, that joy alive.
Okay, got it. Fun is F number 1.
Yep.
What's the second F? You said this one might be a bit unexpected.
It might be. The second F is fight.
Fight. Okay. Yeah, that sounds counterintuitive. Fighting is key to success.
Well, knowing how to fight. How to fight correctly, as the source puts it. That's what's fundamental.
Fight correctly. Huh. But I guess I see the logic. If you don't know how to handle disagreements,
then everything can feel like a disaster.
yeah, even small things can just blow up and feel huge, damaging.
That's precisely the danger the source points out. If you can't communicate issues, navigate conflict, resolve things effectively, then every single problem feels like it could break you. It eats away at the trust.
So how do you fight correctly? Does the source give tips?
It does. Specific practical stuff. First, it says, establish ground rules before you're mad. Like, agree on how you'll handle disagreements when you're both calm.
Okay, proactive. Makes sense. What else?
Then, in the moment, things like taking turns talking, really listening.
Listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Right. And, this is crucial, acknowledging your partner's point of view.
Acknowledging, so not necessarily agreeing with it.
Exactly. You don't have to agree.
Yeah.
But you have to show you've heard it, you understand where they're coming from. Validation.
Okay, that's a big one.
Another tip. Make requests, not complaints. So focus on what you need going forward, instead of just listing all the things you didn't like.
Ah, that's a great reframe. From blame to solution.
It changes the whole energy, And finally, knowing when to hit pause. Yeah. Sometimes things get too heated. You need to agree to take a break, cool off, and come back to it later. Prevents saying things you'll regret.
That takes discipline, but yeah. Wow. Okay, so fight isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about having the tools to handle it together.
Turning something potentially damaging into maybe even something that deepens understanding.
All right. So we have fun and we have fight correctly. What's the third and final F? The source listed it as F.
Yes, F star, 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 star. We'll discuss it as intimacy or sex.
Got it. Intimacy sex.
And the source is pretty straightforward here. It basically says a healthy sexual relationship often correlates with a more successful marriage.
Okay.
It makes the point that intimacy acts like a kind of glue. It helps keep the connection strong, even when other parts of life are really tough.
A little intimacy goes a long way, sort of thing.
That's the idea, even when stressed or busy.
So how does the source suggest couples, maintain that, especially with busy lives? It can't just be about frequency, surely.
No, absolutely not. It's much more about the quality, the intention behind it. The first big point is open communication.
Talking about sex.
Yeah, talking honestly about your thoughts, feelings, desires. It's not just about getting what you want. It's about building deeper intimacy through that vulnerability, understanding each other better.
That definitely requires some courage, being that open about desires and expectations.
It does. But the source links this to the second point, being direct about what you both want. Shared desires and expectations.
How direct?
Tactfully, sensitively, obviously. But the source emphasizes, look, your partner loves you. They want to make you feel good.
Right.
So telling them what you desire isn't being selfish. It's actually an invitation to connect more deeply, understand each other better, and have a richer experience together.
An invitation. I like that framing. Removes the awkwardness, maybe. Okay, what else? Is there a third piece of advice here?
There is. And this is the one that sometimes, raises eyebrows. Plan sexual encounters.
Scheduling sex.
Yep. Scheduling sex. The source directly challenges the idea that sex always has to be spontaneous to be good.
I can hear some people thinking that sounds clinical, unromantic, kills the mood.
That's the common reaction, yeah. But the source argues pretty strongly against that. It says, look, as life gets busier, especially as you get older, scheduling might be the only way to make sure it consistently happens.
So the benefit is just making sure it happens.
That's part one. It ensures intimacy stays a priority, doesn't just fall off the list, which often means couples actually have more sex.
Okay, more quantity perhaps. But what about the quality, the romance?
Well, here's the interesting twist. The source suggests planning can actually enhance things. It allows for anticipation.
Anticipation?
Yeah, you can build towards it, flirt more intentionally, plan the foreplay. It becomes something you both look forward to, an event, rather than just hoping a spontaneous moment magically appears, which it often doesn't.
So it shifts from passive waiting to active creation, creating the space and the anticipation.
Exactly. You're bringing intention to your physical connection, just like you hopefully do to other important parts of the relationship.
Okay, that's a really interesting way to think about scheduling. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's pull this all together. This blog post suggests the keys to a successful marriage boil down to these 3 Fs. Fun.
Keeping that joy in dating alive. Learning to navigate conflict constructively.
And intimacy or sex.
Cultivating connection through open communication. And yes, maybe even planning. And the core message is, if you consistently put energy into these 3 areas,
actively work on them,
then both you and your partner are likely to feel more fulfilled, more connected, happier overall. It's about actively being that right mate.
Which brings us right back to that opening quote, doesn't it? It's not just finding someone, it's about being someone. And these Fs give concrete ways to be.
It moves it from a nice idea to a practical approach, a toolkit.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe something for you listening to think about. Which of these Fs, fun, fight, or intimacy, feels the most, challenging for you personally? Or maybe the approach the source suggests feels the most counterintuitive?
Yeah, and what might actually change in your relationship if you were to consciously decide to put more focus, more intentional energy into that specific area?
And thinking about the source's focus on deliberate action in all 3, fun, fight, intimacy. What does that really tell us about what being the right mate truly involves? Something to